Waiter threw water at a pregnant woman. He didn't know she was a biker's wife. The cafe was buzzing that afternoon, filled with the usual lunch hour chatter. Waiters darted between tables, balancing trays and forced smiles. And at the corner table near the window sat a woman who didn't quite blend in. She wore a loose gray dress that barely concealed her growing belly, her hair tied back simply, and her eyes weary but kind. Her name was Lily. She looked like someone just trying to catch her breath from the world outside. A world that had been a little too cruel lately. Lily's husband, Mark, was a member of a well-known motorcycle club, the kind people whispered about when they rode through town. Tattooed, tough, the type that made others cross the street. But Mark wasn't just muscle and leather. Beneath the rough exterior was a man fiercely protective of his family. He adored Lily, and after years of hardship, her pregnancy was the light they had been praying for. That afternoon, Lily had come to the cafe alone. She wanted to surprise Mark with his favorite dessert after his long ride back from a charity event the club had organized. She moved carefully, the weight of her baby making her steps slower. The young waiter who approached her table, however, didn't notice her gentle struggle, or maybe he did, but didn't care. "Excuse me?" Lily said softly, trying to get his attention after waiting almost 20 minutes. "Could I get a glass of water, please?" The waiter, Jason, was in a foul mood. He had been scolded earlier for mixing up an order, and seeing Lily sitting quietly, dressed plainly, he assumed she was just another customer who wouldn't tip much. Yeah, in a minute," he muttered, rolling his eyes as he walked away. Minutes passed. Lily felt dizzy from the heat, one hand instinctively resting on her belly. She called out again, this time a little louder. "Sir, please, I just need some water." Jason stopped, sighed dramatically, and snapped, "Can't you wait like everyone else?" The words stung. A few customers turned their heads, whispering. Lily's cheeks flushed, but she remained calm. "I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling well," she said quietly. "I'm pregnant." And before she could finish, Jason scoffed. "Yeah, right?" he muttered, grabbing a glass from the counter. In a fit of irritation, he walked over to her table, and without thinking, he threw the water toward her. The glass hit the table edge, splashing cold water across Lily's dress and the floor. The cafe went dead silent. Lily gasped, clutching her stomach, her eyes wide in disbelief. A woman at a nearby table stood up in shock. "Are you out of your mind?" someone shouted. Jason froze, the reality of what he'd just done dawning on him. I didn't mean," he stammered. But the damage was done. Lily's breathing grew shallow as the stress hit her body. She tried to calm herself, blinking back tears. "It's okay," she whispered, more to her unborn child than to anyone else. "It's okay, baby." At that exact moment, the cafe door swung open with a loud creak. A group of men in leather jackets stepped in, members of Mark's motorcycle club. And behind them walked Mark himself. He froze when he saw Lily soaked, trembling, her eyes red. "Lily?" he said, his voice low but trembling with concern. She looked up, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Mark, it was just an accident," she murmured. But it was too late. Mark's eyes darkened, his jaw tightening. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. Jason stepped back instinctively, realizing too late who he had just humiliated. "Sir, I didn't know." Mark took a slow, deliberate step forward. "You didn't know she was my wife," he said quietly. "You didn't know she's carrying my child. But you still thought you could treat her like that." His voice shook with restrained anger. The cafe manager rushed forward, panic in his eyes. "Sir, please, we're so sorry. This was a misunderstanding." Mark didn't raise his voice, didn't throw a punch. Instead, he looked Jason in the eye and said something that silenced the entire cafe. "You don't throw water on people because you're having a bad day. You don't know what someone's carrying, on their shoulders or in their heart." Then he turned to Lily, his expression softening instantly. He wrapped his jacket around her shoulders, helping her stand. "Come on, sweetheart. You don't belong in places like this." As they left, Jason stood frozen, guilt clawing at him. The manager fired him on the spot, but that wasn't what hurt most. It was the look in Mark's eyes. A look that wasn't just anger, But disappointment. A few days later, Jason showed up at the local motorcycle club headquarters, clutching a small bouquet of flowers and a letter. He didn't know if they'd let him in, but he needed to make things right. One of the bikers recognized him and let him inside. Mark sat at a table, fixing a bike part. He looked up as Jason approached nervously. "I came to apologize," Jason said quietly. "What I did was horrible. I don't have an excuse. I let my frustration get the better of me." Mark studied him for a long moment before setting the tool down. "You can't undo what happened," he said, "but you can decide what kind of man you'll be after it." Jason nodded, his voice trembling. "I've already started volunteering at the women's shelter downtown. I figured maybe helping someone might make up for it." Mark's expression softened slightly. "That's a start." Months later, Lily gave birth to a healthy baby boy. When Mark told her about Jason's apology, she smiled gently. "People make mistakes," she said. "What matters is they change." Jason never forgot that lesson. He found a new job, this time, not in a fancy cafe, but at a local diner where kindness mattered more than tips. And every time a customer came in looking tired, lonely, or lost, he remembered the pregnant woman whose strength had changed his heart. Sparkle's inspiring message: never judge or mistreat someone just because life has worn them down. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you can't see. One act of cruelty can leave a scar, but one act of compassion can change a life forever.